All new at 9, one of the most successful and fastest growing companies in the St. Louis area is a name you may recognize but know little about. The Berry-Wehmiller company is not only transforming their workforce, they're also on the verge of transforming business as we know it. I had a chance to sit down with the chairman and CEO of the company recently to see why leaders from around the globe are flocking to learn the methods being taught right here in St. Louis.
I was at Harvard sitting in a room with 90 global business executives, and they were teaching the Berry-Wehmiller cultural case study at Harvard 2 years ago. And I sat in that room and I said, how did I get here?
Bob Chapman got there with plenty of ups and downs, near bankruptcies, and several revelations along the way that are changing business worldwide. Chapman is the CEO of Berry-Wehmiller with global headquarters in Clayton.
Berry-Wehmiller began in 1885 as a provider of equipment to the brewing industry, and Anheuser-Busch was one of its first customers in 1901.
There were plenty of changes in that business during its history, including nearly losing everything in the 1980s when the industry changed and the banks pulled out.
As I said to our team, our history does not provide us a future. We need to acquire companies that give us a better future. So I began with no money and no experience acquiring companies in 1984.
The company now has about 12,000 employees worldwide and about $3 billion in sales annually. That includes 107 acquisitions, which Chapman calls adoptions.
I learned more when I had no money than I did when money was easy.
Yes, business is good, but it wasn't the skills he learned in business school that transformed this company.
It never occurred to me in my education that the way we treated people in our work environment would affect the way they go home and treat their spouse and their children. But we know for a fact that when people leave work not feeling valued, when they go home, they're less of a parent, less of a spouse, less of a citizen, because they don't feel valued.
He began to change his leadership philosophy after several revelations he had outside of work. They can be summed up simply in one phrase.
Everybody is somebody's precious child. Everybody can relate to. When you stop seeing people as a function and you see them as that's my best friend's son, that's my brother's daughter. When you see people as somebody's precious child, it profoundly affects the way you treat them.
The philosophy in Everybody Matters is, of course, more complex than that. But he asked the question, would you want your precious daughter or son treated for 40 hours a week at work like you treat those around you?
Why would you want your kids to go into a work environment where 88% of all people don't feel valued, where 3 out of 4 are disengaged, and we know for a fact because of that they'll go home and it'll impact their marriage, it'll impact the way they raise kids, it'll impact their happiness.
Chapman says that this people-centric leadership is not only good for business and employees, it's also good for the world.
Where else do we have people in our care for 40 hours a week? Where do we build up people in terms of feeling good about themselves, realizing their full potential? You don't have to justify caring. You have to justify not caring about the people you have the privilege of leading.
It is an interesting approach and seems to be catching on in a lot of industries around the globe. They even teach these philosophies at the Berry-Wehmiller Leadership Institute, also based there in Clayton. If you want to hear his entire story, we have his TED Talk and other videos of Bob Chapman sharing his philosophy on our website. Just look for the story at fox2now.com.